Hello and welcome along to the F1 Esports Series Pro Championship. It's day 2 of event number 1. We had 2 incredible races yesterday around Bahrain and China, both going down to the wire. Will it be the same today around Austria at the Red Bull Ring? We will have to wait and see. But welcome to qualifying and welcome to the show, Mr. Tom Deacon, my special guest today. You're replacing Nick Hamilton today because he had better things to do. So,
I know, but he's in the building, and that is the positive thing.
I think that makes it worse.
It does a little bit. He's really has pied us off. But he keeps saying this is his show. So actually, this is the time today for you to prove this is your show. You don't need to prove it to me. But
I was going to say, thank you for laying down what I need to do in this show. How are you? How did you enjoy yesterday? It was frantic action. We didn't have a lot of time to really soak it in on the main show yesterday. So that's what today's about.
Yeah, I was stood where you're pretty much sat, saying to Nick, we have got no time to talk about any other things that are really interesting from the race. But that's what we get to do today in the main show. And because there was just so much action, and then obviously wet weather in Shanghai was a game changer. No one was expecting that. But no, thoroughly loved it, and I'm looking forward to those that didn't get any points yesterday, maybe getting a couple of points today.
So we saw Blakely take his first ever victory in Bahrain. We saw Otmar pull off probably the greatest strategy call in F1 Esports history. What was it that stuck with you after the end of the show? Was it the Otmar? Was it the Blakely and the feel-good? Because Lucas has been around for quite some time in this F1 Esports series.
He has. For those who don't remember, Lucas Blakely, we were at Silverstone and we were testing all the drivers who were trying to get through the draft. And he had a fabulous showing for the 2 days that we were there and then didn't get picked. And I remember how emotional he was then, and I was chatting to his dad afterwards. And then I sent him a message. I was like, look, do you know what? You love F1 Esports. You'll be back. Don't worry about it. You didn't get picked this time. And then he's just gone on from strength to strength. It wasn't his season last year. And then to get that maiden win. I mean, I asked him one question in an interview. I mean, about 20 minutes later, he finally stopped talking. And I was just like, that's why I love Lucas, because that passion is there for everybody to see. So those drivers who've never had their maiden win, it could happen. And just don't talk for 20 minutes, all right? That's a beautiful moment for him, and I'm chuffed.
Now, I'm sure Lucas is probably watching the show and he wants to see the highlights from Bahrain. So let's show them now and see exactly what went down around Sakir. And it was a brilliant race. Starting off, of course, Longuet was on pole position, but Lucas got the better start up the inside on the soft tyres. We saw Blakely, Longuet and Carraton on those soft tyres, using that to their advantage to extend the gap to the pack behind on the mediums. Here we see Lucas very calm, wasn't he? Very you sort of cut to the camera footage there, and he didn't look like he was, had his eyes on stalks or anything.
Yeah, make it look difficult for us who are novices on the game. Please try and look like you're putting lots of effort in, but they're just so in the perfect zen place, aren't they? Whilst they're racing around, and it just reminds you how sort of calm they look on the exterior, but surely the nerves are going.
I also love how you mentioned that you spoke to him, and since then he's been on the ascendancy. That's basically what you said.
No, that's not what I said.
You'll be all right. And since then, he has gone from strength to strength. But it is brilliant to see Lucas up there. He is definitely one of the good guys on the grid. And here's Jan Otmar, who was making his way through on the soft tyres. Went for quite an aggressive strategy, going early onto the softs, which eventually he got caught by Barry Buramand at the end and lost P4, I believe. But here's Nicholas Longuet fighting Blakely all the way to the end. I thought they might leave it to the last lap, but they did not. Blakely going to the inside, penultimate lap of the race. Wanted to lead that train, Tom. He wanted to assert his dominance, and it turned out to be the right decision, because we saw, once again, Longuet coming back at him. But this is where it all seemed to just go a little bit wrong for Longuet. He picks up a penalty here. Actually, no, was it just after this? It was actually the final lap that he picked up the penalty. But that was rescinded. So the stewards decided, as we will see very shortly, that Longuet wasn't at fault for that 3-second time penalty. He was handed his Blakely up the inside again. Retakes the lead once again. It was
brilliant to watch Blakely actually hold off and go, do you know what? I want Longuet to be in the lead here because I'm going to hit him on the DRS, and that's kind of exactly what he did. It was just back and forth, and it was one of those tense moments. But yeah, I mean, Longuet would be, I think, disappointed here. We're seeing it happen here. Another nudge just to help Lucas ahead of him. Yeah, that was almost like a do-or-die move for Longuet. They just wanted to stick a nose up the inside, but he just was not close enough to outbrake Blakely into there. And then, of course, that Carraton-Longuet battle then raged on, and it pretty much handed the victory to Blakely and takes his maiden win. And, as you say, he was very, very happy, wasn't he? Yeah, I mean, it's not about... I mean, that's what it means to him. It's not... I have had no help in his career right now. All I'm saying is, when you see the underdog...
I wasn't being serious.
No, I know. But no, I just want people to know that when you see someone that just strives for one thing, the hours that these guys put in, and when they finally get that hard work to pay off, you just have to... If I had a hat, I'd take it off.
Well, there's the race classification from round one. I think you said, actually, after the first two races, that they have as many points, Aston Martin, as they did the entire season last year.
Yeah.
So that just shows the massive turnaround we've seen in performance, especially from Lucas Blakely. Of course, some good points picked up from Mercedes there as well, Otmar and Moreno. But one very disappointing team, or at least was disappointed at the end of it, was Red Bull. You know, scoring very little points and slightly surprising, you have to say. Brendan Lee as well, down in 12th, of course, the two-time champ. I was expecting FDA to maybe come out the blocks firing a bit more as well, wouldn't you say, Tom?
Yeah.
Especially with two champions in their ranks.
Yeah, maybe it's the strap, maybe it was the qualifying. Something didn't go to plan for those guys. Shout out to Thamin Shoot. Please, if I've said that wrong, shut the front door for Shoot. The fact that he is the youngest ever driver in F1 Esports, shout out to him, because it's not easy, but yeah, FDA, they need to pull their finger out for that next race and the third one today.
Now, we've looked at Bahrain. Let's take a look at China, which was the second race of the evening yesterday around Shanghai, and it was torrential rain, wasn't it, Tom? It was absolutely...
Dry qualifying, and it just, in an instant, it's changed.
Hooning it down,
yeah,
I think is
get out the wets, or maybe get out the intermediates.
Yes, that was... we didn't actually know this at this point because we went straight into the race. Can't see the tyre indicators at that point. But here we have an onboard of Jarno Otmar, the only driver on the grid who decided to go for the intermediates. And you can see the struggle that he was going through. And at this point, Jarno's probably saying, you know, this is probably quite difficult. And, you know, he's not going to be able to actually make this work. But he does.
Well, yeah, and what is incredible is myself and Nick were talking about it before the race, that there's no chance that he's going to get into the points. And from 14th, I don't want to ruin what happens, but I think people already know, he goes on to win the race, which is just phenomenal from that position. And I think also who had a great race was Romanidis, moving up from the back into the points as well. But, you know, you've got to be brave because there's a small margin of difference between these drivers, and you have to take every opportunity you have, and he's done it, so fair play to him.
You absolutely do. That was Donoso going for an early pit stop there. Then you have Blakely. It was just so interesting to see it all unfold. Of course, Jarno Otmar then overtaking Carraton, which he was quite surprised to see Carraton still out there on the wets. After such a great race around Bahrain, Carraton, unfortunately with his strategy and his gamble that way, it did not pay off and he didn't score any points. You can see still ailing there in that Williams. But Jarno Otmar took the lead after that incredible gamble on the intermediate tyres. And at this point, we're still questioning, will he be able to get to the end? You know, we saw it in Turkey real life. Esteban Ocon managed to take his intermediates the entire race distance.
But surely they're going to drop off.
Yeah, exactly.
Surely they're going to drop off.
And it was, you know, we saw it drying, and Jarno's gap to Marcel, I think, was under 2 seconds when they came into the pits. So I think if the conditions hadn't changed and it stayed in that sort of slippery, greasy area, that Jarno would not have won that race. But hey, the weather gods were definitely on his side, and they all came out on the soft tyres. Donoso also made that gamble that got him the lead, Tom, but unfortunately just couldn't get the pace straight away.
Yeah, and it's great to see Fab Donoso. It was reminiscent of Abu Dhabi all those years way back when, Matt, when we were there watching Fab and Brendan Lee go toe-to-toe with each other, and you're sort of like, finally that form is beginning to happen for Donoso, and great for the Alpine team. I mean, ignore where Nicolas Longuet is, but, you know, last year they didn't and weren't able to, as a team, consistently put points on the board together. That was good to see. And also Josh Idowu getting his debut and in the points as well. So fair play to him. And that was at the expense of Danny Berejny not even racing. So that was a shock for everybody. But yeah, so many good races from loads of drivers.
It really was. There's race classification of round 2. And Otmar, that may be a race that he looks back on later down the season if he is in championship contention and thinks that is where I got a whole load of points that was not to be expected. Donoso, of course, as you say, great performance. Marcel Kiefer getting on the podium and showing that Red Bull in the hands of him certainly still there. And then, of course, the second page where, unfortunately, we didn't see any point scores from the likes of Tanitsa, Rasmussen, Longuet. So some big drivers, you know, drivers that have won races, won championships, right at the bottom there.
Yeah, Matthias Van Erven from the Haas team and Cedric Thome will be very disappointed with that showing. Simon Weigang, a lot's resting on his shoulders with the experience he had last year and showed. Philip Prejnida picking up a point for Alfa Romeo. So they're
picking up a point.
Picking up a point. They're off the board. Love it. They're on the way. It's a bit of frustration, bit of, 2 races one day. You get that time now. 24 hours later, we're back in it. We'll really see that experience come through for some of the teams, especially like Ferrari, Brendan Lee and David Tanitsa. Hey, we know you're capable, so now start showing it.
Absolutely. 2 crazy races and 2 very different sets of standings. Let's take a look at the driver standings and see how it all looks after 2 rounds. And Blakely and Otmir right at the top.
Yeah.
Joint with 37 points.
I love Lucas there. It looks like, hey, Jarno, you want to fight for this top spot? Because I'm ready for you.
He's ready to put his boxing gloves on. Donoso, surprisingly, in P3 alongside Marcel Kiefer. So it just shows, I think, from those first 2 races that apart from Blakely and Otmir, who both scored a 1st and a 4th, the rest of them just seem to be jostling around. Some good points finishes in Bahrain, but they're not in China and vice versa. So down there, you have to say the likes of Danny Beresne, David Tanitsa are only on 2 points. Again, he's not got off to that start that we saw a couple of seasons ago, David Tanitsa, where he was clear by 4 or 5 races in.
What I love, Nick Hamilton, can I mention him? Can I mention him in the quality?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, all right. He said yesterday, it's nice that's it. My quota's done. I feel like I'm going camping. I've got so much stuff here. The notebooks come out again. But he mentioned the fact it's nice to see different winners. And I totally get his point and his sentiment. When you see these talented drivers all jostling, anyone could win this race today at Spielberg. And that's what makes it so exciting.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at how the teams now sit. This is where the $750,000
how much?
is decided. Yep, 750.
Woo!
$750,000. And Mercedes currently ahead in the championship. Well, just over double Red Bull at the moment, which is...
And sorry, Matt, the excitement for me was the Aston Martin. What? That's wrong. This graphic's wrong. They should be at the bottom of the table like last year. I didn't say should, but if you're comparing it to last year, that is a jump. That is a massive difference. And poor old Haas and AlphaTauri, you take a real strong team to be lifting everyone else up. So.
And you're Haas's biggest fan. You always have been. You love an underdog.
I do.
What's going wrong for them at the moment? Well, of course, they're not scoring any points. They've tried a different lineup as well. They've got Van Erven in. He was quite close to points in China. It was quite a crazy race, but unfortunately just not managing to get that extra little bit of performance that they need. Yeah,
rookies. We look at Barry Borman having such a great season, but he had a year sitting on the team learning about what F1 Esports is in the competitive world and this Pro Championship. But the problem is for Haas, I feel they should start a hashtag, and it just says help.
You said this
drivers needed. Drivers needed. Points preferable. Yep. Oh, I'm just going to sit on that one. No, I really want them to do well.
I didn't expect you to say that on air. I genuinely thought it was one.
Sometimes they can be ruthless, but they know. Cedric Thome even put a tweet out saying, "Look, that's F1 Esports. That's what it's about. Okay. We learn from it. We'll come back." You know I'm rooting for them.
Okay. Well, speaking about hashtags, let's take a look at the social media roundup and some of the. Well, it went pretty crazy, didn't it? Social media after the incredible race we saw yesterday. Of course, Lucas Blakely absolutely buzzing as an F1 Esports race winner. And as you said by the interview, clearly did not want to stop talking. Jarno Otmir, last to first challenge in F1 Esports. That's, of course, a lot of content creators on YouTube decide to do last to first challenges in career mode and
it's
whatever.
Incorrect. He wasn't last. He was 14th.
No, but he did drop down to 18th at one point, so technically near. OK, cool.
He should have asked me, can I tweet this, Tom? No, it's not accurate enough.
Another tweet, the face when you just jump/overtake 17 people ahead of you because your own alternate strategy. That was, slightly haunting, that picture, but still, Jarno was very, very happy indeed. Did not expect that at all. And finally, I didn't get the hype around esports, capital S, not happy with that, until I saw yesterday's race. What drama. Oh, ho, ho.
Yeah, I think, in America you have Ohio, so maybe that's the Canadian. Oh, ho, ho. That could be what it is.
Yeah, that's amazing. And we've got one more tweet which I didn't want to show.
What?
But I've been forced to show it. Without Nick Hamilton, I wouldn't watch F1 Esports. So hopefully TTG_Vexham has tuned out since seeing that he's not here, because otherwise he's not sticking with his word.
But hey...
We'll have you.
He who shall not be mentioned, feels like the Harry Potter, Voldemort, you can't say his name, he will be back later on today.
Now, Nick is a fantastic asset to the team, but I'm glad you're here. But it's great to see that amount of hype. That's the thing I've seen this year is that people are loving F1 Esports. They've seen all these drivers practicing in other league races, streaming on Twitch. A lot more people are taking notice of how unbelievable these drivers are.
Yeah.
Have you seen that sort of thing on social media?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to name names of people that are running leagues and just that passion, the community, they're quick to support a driver. They're quick to call a driver out on certain manoeuvres. But that's what we love about it. We love that debate, and to get involved in a show. Yeah, TTG_Vexum. If you are watching, I'm the new person who shall not be named. I don't know what I'm saying. But basically, if you are enjoying it, yeah.
Absolutely love it. Speaking of getting people involved in the show, let's introduce our special guest for today. It is F1.
Wentworth! Wentworth!
Woo!
So we don't give her a budget cup, unlike Alex Jakes.
I know, I'm
which
lucky.
is good.
Yeah.
Welcome, Steph, to the
blessed.
show. Oh, wow, straight away with another hashtag. Yeah. Love it. Steph, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm well, thank you.
First F1 Esports experience, of course. I think you're more of a Formula One fan, aren't you? But,
yeah, so die-hard Formula One fan, but I very much got into esports during lockdown, and now you can't stop me.
And you're a content creator in the space as well. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so I am a Formula One content creator on YouTube, and I'm also a presenter / esports caster, so I've got my fingers in lots of pies.
Yeah, but hang on a minute. Also a commentator as well, so no pressure, Matt.
Well, no, she did say host as well, so no pressure to... I mean, technically I'm hosting right now, but you're also a host, so I think she's after both of our jobs and she's doing everything.
But no, it was great to have Steph here yesterday,
yes.
Behind the scenes, like chatting to us, seeing what was going down, and just that kind of excitement that Steph had. Every time I'd look up, I'd be like, oh, Steph's loving this moment to be here. Gfinity Arena, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much. I feel honoured.
Oh.
Yeah, and you kind of walked in and, you saw the Gfinity Arena for the first time, and it was like, I could see in your eyes, you were like, OK,
yeah.
This is the real deal. What did you take from yesterday? Because obviously we had a lot of incredible action, 2 amazing races around Bahrain and China, Blakely and Otmir coming out on top. What sort of stuck with you? We've heard from Tom, and, he really loves to see Lucas win. What was it for you?
Oh, I really enjoyed the whole day yesterday, but do you know who I've got my eye on? Barry Boromand.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a huge underdog this season. I think it was a 5th and a 6th yesterday. So not, the highest places, but consistency is key, as George Russell would say. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what he can do around Austria today.
Yeah, I was impressed by Barry Boromand as well, to be honest. And as you say, Austria, Red Bull Ring coming up. What do you make of the Red Bull Ring as a track? It's obviously fast, it's furious, it's quite short as well. So I think qualifying will be very tight because there's not a huge amount of lap time.
Yes, I love Austria. Let's go there all the time. No, not all the time, but it is a fantastic track. Just 10 turns, so it is tight. And, I think we are going to have some issues with traffic in qualifying. Some of these drivers are not going to be very happy. So maybe team strategy might have to play into it. Yeah. We'll see. Red Bull are good at that.
Yeah, they are indeed.
It hasn't worked so far for them. I'm not throwing stuff at it, but it hasn't worked, so you're hoping that they've had that time.
Tom's
away.
a harsh critic, as you can probably tell.
Not too
straight up
harsh.
hash, 0 points, come on.
Yeah, look, I'll say what I see, but I know that it will all change a lot today, and hopefully that Red Bull team can start being consistent again.
Now, I know, Steph, you'll probably know, but for Tom's sake and anyone else watching, Gallagher's Guide to Austria, me in a sim. Go and watch if you enjoy it. OK, we've got Red Bull Ring now. It's short, it's fast, it's furious, and I'm going to try and cling on for dear life and talk at the same time. Joni Tormela actually pulled back a few tenths of a second last time in qualifying, last year that was, and he didn't make it through Q1. OK, into turn 1 we come. Oh, my God, that is absolutely horrific. So through turn 1, as you can see, very difficult to get right, and also track limits around here are crucial. 1 millimetre over that white line with any more than 2 wheels, and you're in big trouble by the stewards. This hairpin very difficult to get right, both with your braking point and also not being too eager on the throttle. We now head down towards this downhill braking zone. This is where Alex Albon and Lewis Hamilton famously came together. Did Alex Albon lose his first victory here? That's up for debate. It can really send you into the gravel if you're a little bit too trigger happy on the accelerator. This corner's just awesome. Fly it in 5th gear, and I mean, you can see there, I only just put my 3rd wheel over the white line and I got my time invalidated. That's exactly what the drivers will be experiencing as well. It's it's a very difficult beast, Spielberg, and one small mistake and you could have a very, very difficult race ahead of you. So I'm kind of just showing off, really, exactly how difficult it is for the esports drivers, because that's why I did the spin, the really bad exit out of turn 1. It's basically just to showcase how difficult F1 esports is.
I feel like I was watching Alex Albon there with the invalidated lap times from exceeding track limits.
Yeah, I can see the savageness will start to come out with you more and more. Yesterday was also savage. Let's take a look actually at the driver lineup and see what we've got coming for this qualifying session and who will be lining up. We've got the first page right here, and there's a few different names we'll see. Patrick Sipos being one of them for Alpine, replacing Fabrizio Donoso, which some people might be thinking that's very strange, but from what I've heard, Alpine have kind of prepared Sipos for this, allowed Donoso to prepare for the first 2 races, and giving Sipos the opportunity for the Red Bull ring. So let's see if that works out.
It seems like, Donoso, you got a podium, now you sit out. That's how it works around here. But Nicolas Longo, I'm glad he's in there to get out last race in Shanghai, out of his system and move on.
Second page, Alessio Di Capua. Williams kind of said there wasn't a huge amount of strategy around this, just wanted to give Di Capua an opportunity after winning the Challengers Series. And it's just an opportunity for him to basically give it a good go. There's another name.
Oh, yeah, the Danny Berezhny. You heard him? He's back in.
He's back again. So basically, Danny's come back. He's very good around Austria, McLaren have said. So looking forward to seeing how Berezhny does after that. That can actually impact, obviously, the amount of driver swaps we're seeing. Of course, the money is decided on the Teams Championship, but in the Drivers' Championship, which is still a pretty awesome title to have, we're seeing the likes of Berezhny being swapped out, Donoso being swapped out. So we may see the likes of Otmir Blakely, who get a seat every single race, that they could streak clear in the drivers. Yeah,
I mean, when you look at Danny Berezhny, he scored so many points in F1 Esports. Those first 2 races, it feels like his title championship is out the window. Like, that's not going to happen. He even put out on Instagram, like, personally, he said, I would love to see some points next to my name, but it's really about that team because that's where the money is. But would you say that someone out of 2 races is already out, Steph, of like, winning that title? There's no way back for Danny now, surely?
No, I mean, 12 rounds we have, and that's not a lot. When you think about it, you've got to make every opportunity count. So if you miss 1, if you miss 2, that's it. You're goners.
Yeah.
Wow, jeez. Cutthroat. I'm loving this. As you can see on screen right now, qualifying has begun, and some drivers are out there at the moment. And I wonder what amount of analysis these teams have done since yesterday, and that's something that maybe some people don't think happens in this series. How much analysis you can actually do after a race. But I was speaking to a few drivers and finding out they can even look at different straight line speeds from different teams. So, for example, one team may stand out as having 3 kilometres an hour quicker straight line speed in a particular track, but no one else did. And then they're thinking, oh, where's the pace gone? Or that's in particular, obviously, maybe running slightly less wings, impacting the straight line speed there, can kind of give them an indication, if they were slower than other teams, what they can maybe change on the setup moving forward. Of course, we do have different tracks, but there are sometimes some really good setups that they tend to use around a lot of them. So the Red Bull ring, quite fast, quite furious. I'd imagine low wing setups for this one, as we have a pretty long run down to turn 1. As you can see, David Tanitsa just starting his lap on the medium tyres. So yesterday, we saw the Ferraris not going out in Q1 for a very, very long time. This time, Tanitsa's out there straight away on the medium tyres. They're just bedding themselves in. We will see a soft tyre run towards the end because we saw just how close it is at Q1. I think it was a 1/10 of a second maybe in Bahrain between the top 15. Just a small mistake, and you could really make this evening very, very difficult.
You mentioned about the setups. That's what, from an outsider who's watching this, so what do the drivers do? What do the teams do with all that time off in between races? And there isn't much. They've honed everything and put everything into these 3 tracks that we're racing in this first segment of the Pro Championship this year. But they can do the setups, focus all the time on that. The other side is on the neural, visual and physical stuff that they're doing. Yes, Alpine, it is. This blew my mind. So they've been spending all the time on that because the degree of focus that's required. They've been doing convergence, divergence exercises to help with coming into corners and out of corners. and the exits. So the amount of time that they're putting into just being in the right frame of mind, the strategy, it's not just about those setups, but for qualifying, that seems to be more of what it's about, is the setup.
Absolutely. So 14 minutes and 7 seconds remaining in Q1. Lots of time to improve out there, but we are going to see some crazily close times here, Steph. I mean, we can already see the top three separated by 0.02 of a second.
Yeah, it's going to be rapid. The times it's going to tumble as well as we kind of see the session go on. But yeah, 1 minute threes are already doing. That is not a lot of, that is not a long lap time. We are going to see drivers falling over themselves, especially in the latter stages of the session, to set a quick time and put it on the board.
Absolutely. It's all about setting a banker at this stage of qualifying. Medium tyres for pretty much everybody. And I imagine we are going to see an incredibly close Q3. As you mentioned, track evolution does kick in. Q1, Q2, just steadily, slowly getting faster. Q3 is obviously the fastest possible track condition that they will have, especially in that final run. One of the big things is that can a driver get through Q1 or Q2 without using too many sets of soft tyres? Of course, if you make it through to Q3, you automatically get one fresh set of soft tyres. But if you have one in the bank as well, because in Q2 you've smashed it out the park straight away, that can give you an extra bite at the cherry and give you a great opportunity to start nearer the front of the grid. Daniele Haddad goes fastest on a 103.4 on the mediums, but fully expect us to dive very deep into the 102s when the soft tyres come out. Jarno Opmeer is on an outlap at the moment, and he is just winding himself up now to take us around this Red Bull ring. Only just over a minute. This is, as you say, Steph, traffic is going to be something that we're definitely going to have to look out for, especially with 20 cars potentially going round at the end of the session.
Yeah, I mean, it will get easier into Q2, into Q3. We'll have less cars, less traffic, but that final corner, the final build-up to the lap, that's going to get very congested as we see that there is a yellow flag in Sector 2 and Sector 3.
Indeed. One thing that was actually quite interesting in real-life Formula One this year was that final couple of corners, the drivers weren't allowed to wait in that area, technically. I'm pretty sure they still did. But that was a technical thing, was that they tried to do that so that no one was held up coming through very fast. It's such a dangerous area of the track where you've got the pit lane entry as well, where the cars could be slowing down or winding up for a lap, whatever. And so there was this technical directive that, you know, they weren't allowed to do that. I don't think we'll see this today, but it is an interesting part of the track that the stewards will be keeping an eye on to make sure that no drivers are impeded.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm noticing so far, and I know it's early days, and I know that time's going to fall off a bit, but Lucas Blakely, Daniele Haddad, they must be on sort of cloud nine. In as much as all the hard work, all that effort, they're sitting at the top at the moment, they'll have come out today getting ready to drive, going, we have bossed it. We have absolutely smashed expectations in the first two races. Not saying they can kick back, but they can feel extra confident when they're out there. Whereas you've got someone like Brendan Lee, David Tanitza going, whoa, what's this feeling I've got? Oh, that's called pressure. There's pressure on them. And it's the same for Freddie Rasmussen and I guess a little bit less for Marcel Kiefer, but they need to really put in a performance there, especially in what you could call a home circuit for them.
Yeah.
Now, go on,
I was just going to point out the fact that Jarno Opmeer has just displaced Lucas Blakely from the top by 1,000.
Oh, you're already getting an idea of what's going on in this show, because you took the thought right out of my head. I was about to say we love a storyline in this show, and the two title contenders completely tied at the top of the table, separated by 1,000th of a second. I won't get too excited because these times will tumble, and I think Jarno's actually gone for a second lap on these mediums, just for banter, really. But he is flying out there because he has set the fastest first sector of anybody, and he is going to complete this lap because they're just winding down the time. They're just bedding into this track. Does he improve? He does indeed, a 103.2. So that second lap on the mediums, he goes faster. So that is quite the interesting thing. And I guess that shows, and I was, as I say, speaking to some of the drivers, the Red Bull Ring isn't particularly hard on tyre wear. So we could see some differing strategies of going a bit more aggressive on the softs for the drivers tonight when we see the race.
Would you say, Matt, in terms of just jumping the gun a little bit, with someone like Jarno Opmeer now, he could just get back into the pit, relax a bit for this Q1, knowing that time it will be good enough to go through, or is he still? What would be the strategy for the team and Mercedes now? Like, Jarno, great stuff, you're at the top, but you're gonna have to go back out again and better that.
Yeah, he knows this because everybody's gone out on medium tyres, which, you know, we saw the pace differential. It won't be as big as it was yesterday because, of course, it's a shorter track, but Jordi Tormola's on the soft tyres at the moment, and I fully expect if he is the first person to set a soft tyre time to go straight to the top of the leaderboard. So Jarno is going to have to go out there. If anything, as I was saying, it was kind of more bedding into the session, just using a set of mediums they don't need, and because they won't be taking it into the race, as the race is later on, and they'll get a fresh set there. So very interesting to see what Joni manages. Let's see what his first sector was like. It was 0.02 of a second slower than Otmar in that first sector, but technically it's lit one corner. So. Yeah. Tormola's not exactly been right at the top either, so I'm still expecting him to be right near the front if he manages. Oh, he's actually backed out of it, and he was up on Otmar. That just shows the pace differential of that soft tyre, where he feels he's made a mistake. He was going faster, I believe, although actually, no, he was going faster than his PB, not of Otmar.
It's good to see Alessio de Capua getting that opportunity with Alpine. Obviously came through in the Challenger Series, winning that, which is a great way into the F1 Esports Pro Championship. But yeah, just sitting comfortable now, like getting rid of all those nerves. I think that's going forward for any team that think we've got a third driver, let's use them. But then it kind of like, in the world of football, when it's a cup match and you don't play your star drivers, it's kind of the same. I'm not saying that Alessio de Capua is not a star, he's a potential star, but it's interesting that they're not using Fab. What would you take from that, Steph, when you look at that? Like, surely you put your best out there.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't play at Manchester United, you wouldn't play them without Cristiano Ronaldo, would you? So, yeah, it's interesting, especially after how well he did yesterday. So, surprising choice, but understandable if this is the driver that's more set up for this race and is going to do better. I mean, it is a team sport.
Yeah, team sport. I like that. There's no I in team, is there?
There is me.
Depends how good you are at spelling.
Yes.
And that too. Tormola's 0.2 improving on his PB out there. Let's see where he manages. That's not actually going to take him to the top of the timesheets unless he has a pretty decent final sector. Comes over the line, and he is going to go P1, actually. So managed to anti-jinx him there, and he goes right to the top. And that just shows that Otmar can't rest on his laurels, because we could see a lot of improvements on the soft compounded tyre. Tanitsa's not had a good lap either, so he's going to go again.
There could be a few last to first. Am I right, Matt?
Oh, no. Sure.
Jarno Hogmere, that's what they're calling him. No?
I don't think you should say that out loud. I don't think any of us on this set should say it out loud. Anyway, Nicholas Longate over the line. He goes fastest, again, on the soft tyres. So 103.1 seems to be around about the benchmark and potentially the cut-off time. Sipos goes third on a 0.1 as well. So Otmar on a 103.2 on the mediums is extremely rapid. But as mentioned, not as big of a performance gap between the mediums and the softs. One of that being down to the tyre wear as well. We don't see that drop-off that we saw last time out in China and Bahrain. So Freddie Rasmussen goes P2 now, and we have, that is 24, no, actually no, there's another one on a 0.1 and another one on a 0.1. We're going to go with 46 thousandths of a second separating the top six.
Wow. That is not much in it at all. And just down at the bottom, I don't want to mention it, but Haas and Alfa Romeo, and just hoping they kick on. Just hoping.
I don't want to mention it, but you did anyway.
Yeah, because that's the sort of guy I am. Alvaro Carraton, surprising with Alvaro, like, you know, getting in the points in the first two races, and just needs to find one of those things with Alvaro is fantastic driver, got all the potential there. It's just that consistency. So I'm hoping he has a good showing today.
Indeed. Jarno Otmar, the reigning champ, out on an outlap. An outlap?
Here comes the outlapper.
And he comes around the final corner to start his flying lap. Maybe we can ride on board with him to see exactly how quick he is going out there. He comes into turn one now. And does he keep it within track limits? Very difficult to get on the traction there. A bit of exit curb to unsettle the rear. And now we have a pretty long straight down towards the hairpin. Spot your braking point. Use all the track on the left if you can. And he is just a little bit down on his own first sector on the mediums. So I think Otmar's kind of surprised himself on those medium tyres, if anything. Once again, now coming down the hill. He's going to spot his braking point all the way over to the left-hand side, right as we look at it. And this is where We've seen many an incident, more recently, Perez and Norris in real-life Formula One, and that caused a lot of debate. This left-hander is so unbelievably long, you need so much patience, and now we're going to see through the middle sector, he's 54 thousandths up on his lap time. I wonder if it's the last sector where Otmar is going to pick up the majority of his time, but he hasn't set any purple sectors out there. So Jarno, after putting a scorching lap out on the mediums, hasn't really adapted as well as he maybe have wanted to on the softs, and he only goes to P8. So Jarno has not improved, Steph, to the extent that we all expected.
Yeah, no, and with four minutes left, there's definitely time to kind of come in, get a new set, which is, it looks like that's what he's going to be doing, getting a new set of softs and going out for one final push lap. But yeah, not really ideal, not where you'd expect a driver of his calibre to be much further up there. And
I mean, we say this, and yet you look at the times, and if he went 700ths quicker, he's the fastest in the session. So I feel slightly harsh saying maybe he should have done better, when really
margins.
1/10 of a second, yeah, it's such fine margins, Tom. But that's the beauty of F1 Esports. Everybody in the pits, apart from Jarno, who's on his in-lap at the moment.
Yeah, Cedric Tome tweeted yesterday, esports is incredibly difficult and mentally draining. Never underestimate it, never. I was saying to Steph yesterday, we need some motivational words for these guys. If I was thinking of if life gives you lemons, make lemon, just go faster. Have you got any phrases?
do your best.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any. You have to give me one.
You said earlier,
first
dream,
half.
believe, achieve.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Dream,
Matt?
believe, drive fast.
Yeah, you got any other sort of like motivation, phrases for people today?
Practice makes perfect.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
And to be fair, mine is probably the most usable. Making lemons and all that stuff isn't really. Whereas just practice more, and then you might go faster. So this is a very intriguing qualifying session we've got going. Maybe, hopefully, they're not listening to our commentary, because I don't think any of our motivational quotes would have helped at all. If anything, probably hindered. So Alessio Di Capua, we haven't seen him set a soft tyre lap time just yet. His fastest time is on the mediums, and he's down in 18th at the moment. So he's going to want to improve on that, especially with it being his debut. A bit of pressure on him, Steph. How do you think he's feeling in his first ever proper F1 Esports Series qualifying session?
I think he's under a lot of pressure. That's what happens when you have a debut. You know, you're scared, you're nervous, as I rightly am. So we're in the same position right now.
How are you feeling, Steph?
I'm just a bit warm, to be fair. I might have to have a
See, look,
sip of the
yesterday you were saying, oh, it's so cold in here, the aircon. I'm like, as soon as you're under the lights, you get warm. And see, look, you're not complaining now. Anyway, let's continue focusing on the business end of Q1, and we have 1 minute and 32 seconds remaining. Alessio currently on his lap time now. I'm quite sad, actually, Tom, that we don't have the full-screen spicy graphic thing that we had before. Remember, it was
it was too spicy.
They binned that off. Alessio straight has completely abandoned his lap time. So straight out the turn one, he's not happy with that, and he's basically stopping to get out of the way of everybody else.
That's polite of him. Very, very good manners.
Incredibly polite.
But he'll need to learn not to do that in the world of F1 Esports Pro Championship. Do you know what, Matt? I've been given an iPad.
I'm very jealous, because I thought I was the only one that had an iPad, but...
No. They went out and bought another one today.
Gotcha.
So I'll be just playing a few games. So if you need me, I'll be here.
OK, well, whilst you're playing games, Moreno's just gone 0.2 of a second quicker than his PB, which will put him right towards the front of the field. Remember, the track does evolve. We might well see 103 zeros. Tom's trying to pass the iPad to Steph, who now takes the iPad and play-by-playing everything right now. Danny Moreno over the line, and he goes P3, which should see him through. You'd have to say David Snitzer over the line with a 103.1, goes fastest of anybody. The ex-F1 Esports champ is right at the top of the times. Barry Burramund, very, very good at qualifying. A qualifying specialist, you could call him. Brendan Lee slots in second. It's an FDA 1-2 now. Where have they come from? Maybe peaking too early in Q1, we will find out. But Barry, round the final corner, doesn't extend from what I saw there. This will be a legitimate lap, and it's going to be P2, splits the Ferraris. And that is insane. There are 11 drivers on .1s. Simon Weigang does not improve and goes stays P19. This might well be his final lap right now. Blakely goes fastest, the first person into the 1:03.0. Cedric Tomei, he's not going to improve as he's already into the 1:08s. So right now on the cusp, we've got Tomei, Job, Kapua, Weigang and Prejneda. Tomei, 16th. Can he get out? He's just started his lap time now. And he is, I think, on his second lap. So he's given up on the first attempt. Here's Danny Berezne given the opportunity. 14th, 28 thousandths up on his current 1:03.230. This is going to be so close, Tom.
Yes, this is what he needs to cement his place again, get some points on the board. We know how talented he is. Could have been a champion against when he was Mercedes with Brendan Lee. Wasn't quite given that opportunity, but I think he's going to be safe. He's in 7th there, going through to Q2. That'll be a big relief for him.
This is absolutely mind-boggling. The top 13 are separated by just over a 10th. Prejneda retires from the session. He is last in 20th position. Van Erven, can he get that Haas out of Q1? We're going to find out right about now. And he does not improve, unfortunately. He does improve, but not enough to get out of Q1. Weigang may well be safe unless Tomei improves on his final lap. But right now, it is Blakely fastest. Do we have anybody on the cusp? Marcel Kiefer down in 14th. He's leaving it very late, but as you can see with the checkered flags, it's Van Erven, Tomei, Job, De Kapua and Prejneda, your bottom 5, and will not be taking any further part in qualifying for the Red Bull Ring. But very close, you'd have to say, for Marcel Kiefer, Steph.
Yeah, right. I'm expecting good things from Marcel today. I'm not going to lie. Won the race last time out, so in a Red Bull, I feel like he's the one we should be rooting for today.
Yeah, but he wants the white Red Bull. That was something he tweeted about. Yep. He wants the white Red Bull, so if we can make that happen, which I don't think we can, so I think he'll be a little bit irked. That's the word I'm using for that. Do you know what? Which is great to see. I'm hoping, and I think it'd be tenterhooks for that Alfa Romeo team, Simon Weigang in with that opportunity of going through to Q2 unless something happens. You know, he's going to be going through and potentially getting some points on the board for Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, absolutely, and great to see FDA back, you know, towards the front. Can Tanitsa and Lee mount a comeback after a disappointing first couple of rounds? Tanitsa sitting on only 2 points.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, because it's so stacked with talented drivers, it was a performance yesterday which was meh. Like, it was really meh.
Which is not what you thought you'd be seeing
No, of course not.
A team with 2 champions.
Yeah.
The word you used, the calibre that you've got. David Tanitsa at 1 championship. Brendan Lee, 2 championships, where you can turn to David and go, sorry, what was that, mate? I've won 2 championships, thank you. As I was. And you just carry on, whereas that didn't live up to it. But a performance and a showing like that says that they are going to come back all guns blazing.
No, I don't think their team chemistry is probably going to be that kind of thing, you know, where it's almost like battling each other, you know, destructive. If, you know, oh, what was that? Oh, you want a set? No, sorry, no, you don't get one. I don't think they'll probably move forward if they're kind of, you know, showing off their championship trophies.
Come on, Brendan, we know he's got bants. He has got bants in abundance. That's why I've got a top
Bants in abundance.
Bants in abundance. It comes out the top pocket. That's what Brendan Lee. He's got the moustache. That's what we're calling it. Well, I am. He's got the moustache. He's got the moves. But in all seriousness, it is a better showing than what we expect of FDA there. Whether they get through Q2 into Q3, we'll have to find out.
We will find out. Let's take a look at the eliminated drivers from Q1. So it was Van Erven, Tomei, Job, De Kapua and Prejneda. I think Alessio in particular will be very disappointed with that, just purely because, you know, first opportunity to show what he's capable of, and unfortunately wasn't able to get that time that he was looking for. But it was so unbelievably close. I mean, Van Erven on a 1:03.227, I mean, a 10.5 quicker, and you are as fast as Blakely, who was right at the top. Yeah. That is the small margins of this F1 Esports series, and that is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Because, you know, even, who was it? It was Berezne. Oh, here we go. So this was De Kapua. He was improving, not by a huge amount when I look at that delta, by about half a tenth, which wouldn't have seen him go through. But unfortunately, there he is. And bit of oversteer. Oh, a lot of oversteer. And then his hand in the air. So you can see how much it means to him. It's a shame to see, but Alessio will hopefully get his opportunity again. You can see how much it means to him. As much as we see the elation of Lucas Blakely winning yesterday, we also see the other side of it, where, you know, you've got the likes of Alessio really wanting to perform and not managing to on the big stage.
Yeah, it's really disappointing as well, because you've got quite a lot of the rookies down there, and you just want to see them do well. You want to see them come in, absolutely smash it, and when they don't smash it in comparison, it's a little bit disappointing, but they shouldn't take it too much to heart. They'll definitely get opportunities again in the future. So we're only on round 3. There's many to go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There you go. That's a bit of motivation for you.
Yeah,
didn't need the quote.
Welcome.
No.
Just motivating naturally.
Yeah,
Not-
just speak honestly from your heart.
rather than Tom Deacon saying, "Give me a quote now."
We rehearsed. We didn't. We talked about it yesterday. No, the thing is, with Alessio, it just hits you is there's like that mixture of frustration. Your team have said you're in, so do the best you can, and he didn't. I imagine he played that out in his head so many times. This is what I'm going to do in Q1. I'm going to smash this. Everyone's going to go, he's the new guy. And you put so much pressure on yourself. And then just one little mistake there, he'll be frustrated. But hey, you know, we've seen last to first with Jarno Opmeer yesterday. So anything could happen. And Michael Romanidis needs a shout out, if I didn't do it already, in Shanghai, way out of the points, gets in the points. So it can be done.
It can be done. And you make a great point about the pressure and also the fact that Alessio was given this one particular track to practice and practice and practice, and this was the time he had to deliver. And what a track to be given as well, because of what we've just seen in qualifying, where no mistakes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're out in Q1.
But you can't practice against people in qualifying. Do you know what I mean? Like goes out, Jarno Opmeer sets that, and you're like, hang on a minute, I was driving a perfect race, and now I've got to up a 100th, a 10th, or whatever it is. The mind games, those rookies are down towards the bottom, and they're going out, Cedric Tomé included. He goes out, but I think those mind games play into it, and can you keep your cool? And that is where that experience you see time and time again really does give you the upper hand.
Absolutely. So as you can see on your screen right now, Q2 has begun, and we've seen the first few laps coming in. Of course, they're all going to be using a scrubbed set of softs at the beginning of this session to really see what they can do. But then also with the fact that there isn't much tyre wear around here, they can produce pretty decent lap times. As you can see with Barry Burmond, 103.201 right to the top of the timesheets. Remember, the slowest 5 from this session get dropped out, and then we have the final 10 for a shootout for pole. Danny Moreno, he is starting a lap, and you can see through turn 1, nice and easy. Didn't lose any traction through there, so he'll be carrying on that lap. Marcel Kiefer winding up for a lap as well. Got a car in front of him, but he should be okay, considering how closely and how competitive this entire field is. He won't be catching any of the cars by more than about 0.2 of a second. So through turn 1, you can see just how much of a threading the needle it is through there. You just move the car maybe half a metre further left and you're on that yellow sausage curve, and you've ruined your entire lap, not only from track limits but also with the amount of time you lose. He is actually catching Daniele Haddad into the braking point a little bit there, and might be picking up a distant slipstream. Haddad gets out of the way, which he'll be thanking him later on. But you can see Marcel down in the bottom left, scored some good points, decided he didn't want to take the risk yesterday at China and go on to the intermediates. I did speak to him and he said, look, I didn't want to take the gamble. I wanted to, after a difficult first race, I wanted to just get some good points. You know, he was starting right at the front, and that was probably a sensible decision, because if he'd started on Inters and it didn't work, he would look like a Muppet. So,
and Marcel Kiefer never looks like a Muppet.
No.
And he doesn't want to. And I think that there is something there, you know, when do you play it safe compared to when you go for it, you take that gamble, because it had gone badly, as you said, in the first race, full Red Bull as a whole. They didn't want to take that risk second time round. What I do like to see is Patrick Sipos getting his opportunity out of all the drivers there. He's the newbie, steps up, has been practicing on this track and gets that opportunity. And that is brilliant to see for Williams. It's paying off so far. If he can get it to Q3, that would be huge.
Yeah,
for
that
him.
would be enormous from Sipos. Great job to get through to Q2 at the very least. And maybe, you know, 11th, 12th, not too bad. Gives them an opportunity to maybe challenge later this evening in the race show. Simon Weigang, you were saying you were hoping to see Alfa Romeo get up there, score some points. We've seen some great performances from Simon of recent, especially from last season, but just hasn't been there every single race that we go to, and maybe that's just down to personal preference. Up to P6, so a pretty decent lap there, puts himself in contention, but we should start to see the times get a little bit quicker by the end of this Q2 session. There's Danny Beresnay, hasn't broken his brake pedal yet, and he is carrying on his way, Steph, to maybe set a lap time and get in the mix of things.
Was that almost a commentator's curse? Could you potentially have jinxed this man who's going out on this lap now?
I jinx everybody.
He's the only one that doesn't have a time on the board yet, but he's on his way. We'll see what he can do.
Steph, out of just curiosity for me, like I said,
Curiosity killed the cat.
it did, and that is why I've got myself a dog now. Who basically yesterday, just before I interviewed Jana Watmir, I'm banging on about my dog and it's broken its, like I said, arm, which apparently Matt Gallagher said it's not an arm, it's a leg. And I said, yeah, but it's at the front, it's by the shoulder point. Let's not dwell on it. The thing is, I'm looking at.
Bygang goes quickest. Sorry to
and I'm
jump in
glad.
about
That's what I was going to say. You've jolted me. That's perfect. Like an old man just banging on about stories. Oh,
wakey, Tom, come on.
When you look at those teams, like Alfa Romeo lost Danny Berezny and Joanna Watmir, and then you've got Haas who have lost Simon Weigang and have got some rookies in there. Out of all the teams, is there an underdog that we should be rooting for from your perspective? Because yesterday I told you, Steph, I love rooting for the underdog. Yeah. Is there someone that stands out for you as maybe the bigger underdog?
Barry Borman that I mentioned before, I think he's the biggest underdog for me right now. In terms of teams, you were mentioning how well Aston Martin have done this year.
Watmir goes quickest. Sorry, Steph, carry on.
Don't worry. They're an underdog, but yeah, it's almost like it's mimicking real-life Formula One as well, with the Haas and the Alfa Romeos kind of being down at the back and the Williams as well. So it would be cool if we could mix that up, if we could see, you know, a Haas pole position, because it's the only time we're going to see that in 2021.
Yeah, it is. To be fair, it is, yeah.
Lovely stuff.
Point well made.
Well, there we go then. So everybody now knows about everything. So let's continue on with... actually, it's raining. It's raining out there. So
what?
There is actually spots of rain. So whilst we've been discussing that, we can see some rain on the lens, which could change the track conditions towards the end of this session. So who is at risk if the track gets too slippery? Longuet, Tourmaline, Lee, Berezny and Sipos. And all of a sudden, this qualifying session has changed quite dramatically. Otmir just about gets his lap time in before the track changes. But how hard is it raining out there? You can see, look, it is raining. Are we seeing any improvements? I will keep an eye on the iPad. I don't see any green sectors for now. Tanitsa's going 2 seconds slower. I think this qualifying session's about to come to an end.
Surely would they have known this was going to happen?
They would have known on the weather forecast that rain was expected. They don't know the exact time and second. DRS disabled. This is it. We've got 6 minutes of filling, guys. So right now, unless the sun comes out and it's, you know, and...
Yeah.
Well, you're going to start singing? Unless the sun comes out?
Unless the sun comes out and dries the track. It is unfortunately Longuet, Tourmaline, Brendan Lee, Danny Berezny and Patrick Sipos who will not make it through to Q3.
Well, I tell you what, Simon Weigang will be licking his lips at this. Alfa Romeo, great opportunity for him. Unfortunately for Patrick Sipos, I didn't jinx him in any way. I think that's too easy to say, but just shouting him out and saying, well done, he's got through to Q2, but I was hoping he'd get through to Q3. But
you know who you did jinx?
Oh, whoa.
Brendan Lee. Saying how well the Ferraris were doing.
Well, you see, the problem is with the moustache and wet weather, it gets a little bit heavier. So for him, well, I mean, that's his own fault. If you're going to grow the moustache, you have to be aware of all the hazardous conditions weather-wise.
There's going to be a new segment to the show called Jinx Watch, which is going to be hosted by Steph, where we just commentate about anything, and then she goes, well, actually, no, you said that this person did a very good lap. Now they haven't.
Oh, look at that. Skills from Lee. That is a man who's given up with just one hand on the wheel.
I thought you were just ending it there. That's a man that's given up.
But I respect that. There's nothing he can do.
He knows that if he goes into the pit straight away, we have got nothing to look at. So Brendan is coming into the pits now. I wonder if any of them are just going to go round on the intermediates for a bit of bants, because, well, we've got 4.5 minutes remaining and there's going to be no improvements out there. So Brendan's going to be very disappointed with that, I am sure. Tanitsa's just about scraped through. Carraton, 4 thousandths of a second quicker than Longuet to make it through to Q3. And Longuet, unfortunately, will be starting in P11. We have seen crazier things, of course, from Bahrain. But Longuet is going to be disappointed once again after such a great start, getting pole in Bahrain, to now starting 11th tonight.
Yeah, and what happens, Steph, and you have to be very careful in the quali show, is you can big up a driver. And I thought that was going to happen when Steph said, Barry Borman, watch out.
He's got mad skills.
He has got mad skills. So is Nicholas Longuet. He's always there or thereabouts and things happen to him. And I said, if I was going to put a wager, a little bit of bet, I reckon he's going to be thereabouts for the driver championship. And he's not having a good time. I'm sorry, Nicholas. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry.
Wow, you know that he's probably tuned in by now because he's got nothing else to do in the rest of this qualifying session, which is the beauty of F1 Esports. You can address the drivers straight away rather than real-life Formula 1. So we do have some drivers out on the intermediates. Don't get hopeful if you are a fan of the 5 bottom drivers. You won't see any improvements anywhere near a 103.2 on these inters, but they're just going around, seeing what it feels like, because I wonder what Q3 has in store for us as well. Because if it is wet out there, and then maybe it starts to dry out, then we should see a very, very interesting final few minutes of Q3. But right now, the drivers are out there having a bit of fun, putting a show on for us, and we appreciate that, don't we? We really do.
Would you like a quiz question, Matt?
As in, you're going to ask me a question?
Would you like a quiz question? I'll ask it again, the same question.
Well, it's a voluntary thing, but I'm going to say yes. Yeah, is that the question? I've just been
Correct, you've got 1 point.
What was
Next
it?
question. 30 drivers from how many different countries? Little quick
13.
question. Bam! Steph's in. 1 point, Steph.
Oh, I didn't know.
I thought
it was just our own little quiz.
Throwing it,
And now,
throwing it to the room.
Yeah,
You can
that's
tell,
3
you
points.
can tell someone's read the previous quiz.
Yeah, because someone's a professional,
Yeah.
so I like that, respect that.
I bet you didn't know before you looked it up.
No, but I hazard a guess.
It's in the notebook.
Yeah. Buzz in if you know this one. So, in terms of all the nationalities from the 13 different countries...
5 Italian, 5 Dutch, 4 Brits.
that is incorrect. So,
Because that's 14.
I should let you finish the question.
13 different
Please
nationalities and you
proceed.
said 14.
I started, so I will finish the question. Out of all the nationalities, who shares the most?
Italians, Dutch, Brits.
Again, still incorrect, Steph.
Well,
Still incorrect.
To ruin the question for
One
me.
moment.
Now you see, I'm very competitive.
Very. Well, Steph said,
Catch me
by
in
the
the
way...
next season of the Esports Pro Championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steph was like, I'm very competitive. You need to know that by me. I was like, OK, let's find out with the quiz. Quiz. What I'm trying to ask for is which nation represents the most amount of drivers? And it's a joint spot.
Is British one of them?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Italian.
Italians.
and then that is 5 drivers they have each, and then 4 Dutch. The Dutch are
There you
slowly
go.
taking over.
Wrong
Love it.
way round.
Yeah, but I like it. I was just being
Yeah,
so
I
trying
like
to
the
give Matt a
energy.
chance.
If you've just tuned in and you're wondering why on earth we're doing a quiz, well, look at the screen.
Says everything.
It's raining out there, and we've seen some dry times. So basically, we are filling, and so that's exactly what's happening for the next 53 seconds. Because we are not seeing any drying conditions out there. We're still seeing intermediates. Danny Moreno going around, satting P3. Great qualifying from him so far. Disappointing, as I've mentioned, for Longue, Tourmalet, Lee, Beresnay, and Sipos. The same time was actually set by Tanitsa and Kiefer, P8 and P9. Kiefer again, just making it through, as he did in Q1 as well. And we await what will be a fascinating Q3. I'll ask the question now before you ask me another quiz question.
Well, I've got a
which you definitely
tiebreaker.
were going through the notepad.
Yeah, I've got a tiebreaker.
Oh, OK, right, go on then.
Do you want the tiebreaker?
Oh, please.
Who has had the most race starts, including yesterday's 2 races? Who has had the most? That is your final answer? Steph, who has had the most race starts? If it's not Danny Beresnay, because he didn't race in one of the races yesterday, who would it be?
Oh.
Take your time. Take your time.
Let me change. I want to change.
OK. I would like Steph's first answer.
No, I'm panicking now.
No, you're very competitive, and I'm putting
am
you
Go
on
on,
the
did it
spot.
say it in the stat pack? That's the question.
Well, I've just added 2 more races on for this driver, so...
Whilst you're doing that, Q2 has officially come to a close. There are some drivers still...
It was so tense!
There are drivers still on laps, but no one's improving because it is still wet out there. So just to go through it, so it's Otmir fastest from Weigang, Moreno, Burremand and Haddad, the top 5. Then Rasmussen, Blakely, Tanitsa, Kiefer, Carraton. So the 2 championship protagonists that are currently joint at the top are both through to Q3, and then we have lost Longue, Tourmalet, Lee, Beresnay and Sipos. Have you worked out what your quiz answer is yet?
I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say Freddie Rasmussen.
OK.
Wow, he is in the top 3.
I was going to change it to Brendan Lee.
That is the correct answer.
Yeah,
so
you
you
don't-
don't.
that
No, but you
doesn't
don't get
win,
it.
though.
You don't get it.
Get it?
Okay.
You've just. I mean, for ego, brilliant. congratulations.
I asked if I could change it, and you said yes.
I said you could change it, but I wasn't going to give you the point.
Anyway, so what were our takings from Q2, Steph? Of course, as I mentioned, Longuet, Tourmalet, Lee, Beresne, Sipos. Big scout probably going to be Longuet. Beresne as well getting the opportunity.
Yeah, biggest takeaway, it was wet. Nothing happened in the end. But yeah, really disappointing for Longuet. He's got pace. I think he got the fastest lap yesterday as well in Shanghai. So rapid.
Yeah.
Couldn't show that today.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the FDA, their strategy in Shanghai was to just wait as long as possible in qualification.
Good job to do it in that one.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's something within that. And I think, you know, we're going to see different strats being used by different teams. But you have to say, after that one in Spielberg, it was about getting out quickly and setting the fastest time. Will it happen for Q3? What would happen with the weather? Is it going to stay wet? Is it going to... What, Matt? Tell me. I need answers.
I would love to know. I was about to say it's going to be fascinating. Q3 is going to be awesome to watch. I'm going to ask, who's pole? Go on. Who is your pick for pole?
In terms of well, you can't write off the two guys that are obviously got the form, Lucas and Jarno. But you know what? I think Weigang, pressure on the shoulders.
You think Weigand's
for Alfa Romeo? I think
bold.
It is very bold. But you know what?
Loves an underdog, as you've already been told.
Yeah. Sipos is out. Simon, I think for him and the Alfa Romeo team, that would lift them. Philip Schneider picked up a point for Alfa Romeo yesterday in Shanghai. But I think, Simon, this is your opportunity.
For you. OK. Steph?
Freddie Rasmussen.
Freddie Rasmussen.
Yeah,
OK.
Red Bull in the Red Bull ring.
Red Bull in the Red Bull ring.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff. I'm going to say Marcel Kiefer because he just scraped through Q1 and Q2, but I think this time will come good. Let's take a look at the eliminated drivers from qualifying 2, although we have gone through it quite a few times because we had 6 minutes of wet action. Longuet going to be very disappointed there. Brendan Lee as well. He's been running pretty much every day, I think, from what I've seen on his social media. He's been preparing hardcore, both physically and mentally, and I think he's going to be disappointed so far with the start to his season. Beresne as well, you know, that grin's probably not going to be on his face. He won't be doing any karaoke tonight either, I imagine.
No.
And Patrick Sipos as well, down in P15. Obviously, with that 1:03.7, didn't manage to get a lap time together and then didn't have 6 minutes worth of running. So that just shows got to perform straight away.
Yeah, you look at the level of races. Joni Tourmalet, you know, he's had 35 races now competitively. The experience is there. Danny Beresne, Brendan Lee, they're way back there. You don't expect them to be there. There's Joni in the good old Finlands.
I love a Joni Tourmalet cam. He looks so chilled.
Yeah.
It's there you go, on his phone. He's going to see exactly what we're saying about him, and we love Joni.
He's a top dog. I love him.
He's been part of the series for, well, since day dot, really, isn't he? So it's great to see. Of course, he did have that bet, didn't he, where he said he was never going to shave until he won a race. I think he lied to us, didn't he?
He did, but also, look, I think, you know, it's not necessarily going to happen winning a race for Joni at the moment, but...
I'm going to pause you.
What?
We're back into Q3, and it's still wet.
Oh, what?
No, that's good, Tom. That's
Is it?
a good thing.
Shame.
That's a good thing because no one has a time set. And if we have changeable conditions, I'm hoping it will go from this amount of wet to less wet / dry, and we'll see constant evolving of lap times. That's the dream. But it has got wetter out there, and maybe, just maybe, if it goes from intermediates to wet tyres, these laps are going to be crucial. Because if it gets too wet, they will not improve. So into turn 1, David Tanitsa comes, and he is going to try and set a banker in these tricky conditions. And we're going to have to keep a good old eye on what the weather is doing. And Tanitsa into this hairpin, very difficult to spot his breaking point, especially in these conditions. How hard must it be, Steph, to get used to not only doing, 103 flats in the first qualifying session, but now we're in Q3, completely different track conditions.
Exactly. You've got to completely alter the way you look at every corner. You can't just pull a Daniel Ricciardo and be the last of the late breakers. You have to spot your braking point very carefully. Otherwise, you're going to overshoot and you are not getting into that corner. So it's really interesting to see how these drivers are going to be able to adapt, how quickly they can adapt, whether they'll have, whether the times will come shooting down massively once they've kind of got their bearings in this session. But I don't know about you, it looks like the rain is coming down harder.
Yeah, I just made a very strange sort of whooshing noise as David Tanitsa lost his back end through the middle sector and he's coming into the pits. So I wonder, as you've just said, Steph, maybe he's thinking it is getting harder and he's going to whack on a set of wet tyres straight away. We will find out. Otmir decides to set his lap time. Kiefer does a 1:10.5. Does Otmir displace him? He does, with a 1:10.3 provisional pole. Freddie Rasmussen goes quicker with a 1:10.230, taking that Red Bull to the top step. Lucas Blakely, the joint championship leader, slots in P3. That's important for him to be near where Jarno Otmir will start this evening. Barry Burman comes into the pits. He is not fancying that particular lap time. So we have 4 lap times set and 6 drivers still in the pits. So I wonder what they're thinking right now. Well, let's find out.
We'll just have to guess, won't we, Matt?
So if you at home are also hearing absolutely nothing, then we've learnt nothing. So I can't tell you until the producer in my ear says what that team radio was saying. But we continue on. 7 minutes 43 to go. And will we see a continuation of laps out there? We see that in real-life Formula 1, where the drivers just continuously go round and round. But Freddie Rasmussen looks to be coming into the pits, and he does indeed. So I wonder, they must believe that it's going to get drier. Otherwise, Burman, Carraton, Moreno, Weigang, Haddad, and Tanitsa would have all set lap times.
Well, DRS just got enabled, so apparently it is getting drier.
Yeah, well spotted. Doesn't look like it on the camera, does it? But
Not
with
at all.
DRS enabled, that is a huge sign to the drivers that it is improving out there. Will we see a risk? Will we see a soft tyre be whacked on? Oh, your answer is right there. David Tanitsa, Red Bull soft tyres on that red Ferrari. And we're going to see some very slippery lap times out there. Is this the right call? I think so, with DRS being enabled.
Fortune favours the brave here, Matt, and I think David Tanitsa needs something. He saw what happened with Jarno Otmir yesterday, taking the gamble to go into the intermediates, and now he's going, do you know what? I'm a champ. I'm a former champ. I need to do something. Don't play it safe like Marcel Kiefer. I've got to go for this.
So I know you're wondering what Barry Burman said over the team radio.
What did he say?
Too. It was that whoever switches to dries will probably get pole, is essentially what he was saying in a nutshell. So that is why we're seeing a lot, well, not why, I don't think Barry is the leader and the strategist for every team, but every single driver out there is on soft tyres, apart from Lucas Blakely, who is still, he's in the pits now. So, David Tanitsa's gone out on softs and comes back into the pits. Has he decided it's too wet out there? This is a fascinating qualifying session at the moment. Barry Burman, he's kind of slipping and sliding his way around on his outlap, but we only have 4 times set, and we're less than 6 minutes to go.
Do you reckon they're going to be sitting in the pit just waiting? Just give it another few minutes. Give it another few minutes. Hold, hold. Let me out. Let me at him. Is that kind of the strategy?
I think they are. They're watching the weather, I'd imagine so. And maybe not taking any risks either. You don't want to be binning it at this part of qualifying. Daniele Haddad on the soft tyres. Let's see if we're seeing purple sectors. We are. Haddad has done the fastest first sector out there on soft tyres. Let's see through the middle. He's gone 2 tenths quicker in the middle as well. Daniele Haddad is going to look at provisional pole position for now, but that is because there's not been many lap times. But a lot of pressure out there for the one. Through the penultimate corner we come. Now, the final corner. Alvaro Carraton goes fastest with a 1:05. It is soft tyre territory. Haddad over the line, a 1:04.6, takes provisional pole by half a second. What is everybody else doing out there? Burman has gone even quicker through the first sector, and then actually make that Moreno another 2 tenths quicker. It's almost going to be last person across the line.
That's absolutely what it's going to be. It's a race. Whoever's last over the line is going to have the best possible conditions. You know, it's just getting drier and drier out there. And as we see these drivers setting their times and going on the racing line, we're going to start to see, maybe we don't have time for that, but a dry line will start to emerge. And yeah, last man standing, isn't it?
It absolutely is. So it's timing. This is crucial. It's not just the drivers, it's the strategists as well. The team behind these drivers need to make sure they are out there at the precise moment. Barry Burman sets the fastest time by a second. So we are almost seeing a bone-dry track out there. That's not far off what we've seen in Q1 and Q2. Only half a second, 6 tenths away. Jarno Otmir, the reigning champion, round the final corner. He comes. Danny Moreno goes quickest. Forget that. It's Carraton. Otmir comes over the line. Now it's him that goes fastest and the top of the timesheets. Jarno Otmir with a of 103.2. We have a bone-dry track now, Tom. It is every man for himself.
Sun, tan, cream, get it out. The sun's changing, the weather's beautiful. This is great to see. Simon Weigang moving up into 4th there as well. So that strategy of just sitting, waiting, holding your nerve and not thinking like in the previous Q2, thinking, I've got to set a lap time, otherwise it's all over. This is beautiful. But what happens with David Tonitza? Because we're on board with Danny Moreno. Can he better that?
Yeah, so Freddie Rasmussen's just slotted in P3. But right now, Otmar is clear by a 1/10.5. Can Danny Moreno get anywhere near that top spot? You would think so. Blakely's gone fastest in the first sector now as well. Everybody is improving, finding time out there. Danny Moreno in the final sector now. You can see it's still quite dark, but the grip is there. Round the final corner we come with Danny Moreno in the Mercedes. Where can he put that Mercedes? It is to P2. It's a Jarno Danny Merc 1-2. And that is exactly where they'd love to finish this qualifying session. But Lucas Blakely will want to change that. He's a 10th down on the fastest middle sector of anybody. Right now, he's only got an intermediate time on the board. Lucas Blakely driving towards the line. Can he get in the mix? Only P6 for the joint championship leader here. So that is going to be slightly disappointing. Can he get back to the pits in time? I'm not so sure. Freddie Rasmussen's improving as well by just over a 10th. He's P5 at the moment. He goes to P3.
Oh, it's epic stuff. And let's not forget, last year in the Pro Championship, Freddie Rasmussen, Marcel Kiefer, a 1-2 in Spielberg. And we're looking at a kind of repeat, but for the different team, Mercedes. And they will definitely love to see a 1-2 finish in the race today. More points on the board for them. But David Tonitza, what's happening? Where is he? You know, what's going to happen for David? Could he be the last man across the line, Steph?
That is a lot of pressure that he's put on himself. He's got to do a lap. He doesn't have a lap. He's nowhere right now. That man is in P10. So he has put all of the pressure on himself now. It's one shot. This is like a one-lap shootout that people have been asking for. So that's exactly what he's going to be doing. He's on his outlap now. So we'll see a time shortly.
Are you going to be rooting for Marcel Kiefer because you said he could get pole in this?
I feel like I've jinxed him by looking at his timing sectors for the first two, but let's have a look. Round the final corner he comes. He just wants to get something on the board, but it's only P8 for Marcel Kiefer. He's not going to have enough time unless he goes for a second flying lap on these softs, which is possible. Oh, loses the back end. He's going to have to abort that one. And he will get enough time to go again if he just continues to nurse these tyres around. Hopefully has enough energy as well in his battery. David Tonitza, you've just mentioned him, Tom. No time on the board at the moment. He's a 10.5 down on the fastest through the first sector. Not ideal, considering it's only one corner. And Tonitza, can he get anywhere near in the mix? But you'd have to say it's not going to be a massive improvement unless he does a stunning middle and last sector. Right now, who else is out there improving? Nobody. We're going to see another frantic moment here where all the drivers will be out for one final attempt. I'm seeing a few more rain droplets on the camera again. Is it starting to rain once more? It's a completely crazy qualifying session.
Make your mind up, weather. What is it? These drivers need to know. $750,000 is on the line. Not for just one race, of course. That would be crazy. That would be
sign
crazy.
up for that. Tonitza over the line only manages P9. That's a poor lap by his standards, but he'll go again. And he's run wide. That'll be track limits, so that will not be a lap for him. That is Tonitza's qualifying session run. He will start no better than P9. Jarno Otmar, he's not improving. A 10.5 down in the first sector. I think it's got greasy again, and that there is a few rain droplets in the sky. What a crazy qualifying session we have had. It is just ever-changing out there, Steph.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it looks like the middle of the session. Whoever set the quickest time then, Jarno, he's going to be on pole, it looks like. I mean, what can anyone actually do? It looks like it's raining again, so this might be it. This might be the standings where everyone will start for the race later on.
He's not improving at all out there, over a second down on his current best. It looks like it's going to be a Silver Arrows 1-2 for this evening's race, and that is an enormous achievement from Otmar and Moreno. He's going to complete his lap time anyway. It's not going to be any sort of improvement. And you can see the checkered flags on the left-hand side. Only Burremand and Carraton could improve out there, but I can tell you both of their first sectors are mediocre to say the least. So, wow. That's your Austrian Grand Prix qualifying pretty much done. And you have to say, what a performance from Otmar Moreno. Rasmussen up there as well. Burremand, you know, we've said, you know, he's consistent, a 5th and a 6th. He's up there again.
Yeah, his qualifyings have been great so far. So we can see what have to wait and see what he's going to do for the rest of the season, because he's been a great qualifier thus far. P1 and
a bit further down,
14
14th.
and whatnot.
Yeah, so Jarno started 14th, of course, of the Chinese Grand Prix. Which
I was talking about Barry.
Yeah, Barry, sorry. Yeah, Barry has been very consistent. You know, it has to be said that it's because I've been given these cars that we'll read out shortly. But
he's not giving himself too much to do in the race. He's already in the points. Just have another, have another consistent race, and you guess what? I don't see another McLaren driver up there with him. So you know, not the pressure, but the weight of the whole team and getting as many points as they can on the board falls on him, and I think he's more than capable of dealing with it.
So there you go. Jarno Opmeer is on pole position for the race later this evening. That is quite the achievement from Jarno after a sensational victory in China last night. He's now managed to get there once again at the front of the field. For Austria.
Yeah, success breeds more success. It is that classic situation. He seemed very calm, very sort of almost just like taking it in stride. There wasn't too many emotions yesterday when he won in Shanghai, and I think he's just gone, yeah, I'm Jarno Opmeer, I can do this. This is what I do, and that is dangerous and worrying for other drivers who aren't at his level yet. I am going to say someone like Brendan Lee. We know he's capable, but that adding more pressure to Brendan to try and perform.
It's worth mentioning as well, Carraton, P5 after a maybe slightly embarrassing Chinese Grand Prix, risking the wet tyre for a long time, then going on to the softs. But P5, he's performed well here as well in the past, Austria. It's a track he clearly likes, and P5, that's going to be a confidence booster, isn't it?
Yeah, he was P1 last year, wasn't he? So
yeah.
Great job from him. This is clearly one of his better tracks. But yeah, the consistency just kind of needs to be there. And I think he could do a really good job come the race this evening.
So what did you make of this whole thing, Steph? Of course, this is your first qualifying show, your first real sort of digging your teeth into the F1 Esports series. What a qualifying session to watch.
I know, it was unpredictable, wasn't it? I love a bit of changeable conditions. It's kind of, you know, when we watched Turkey and we were all waiting and waiting and waiting for the conditions to change in real life F1. And we were waiting and it never came, and then here we got these changeable conditions, and it was just brilliant to see the drivers adapting. I loved it. It was great.
I'm just glad the weather conditions changed to get drier rather than wetter. Otherwise, we had another 12 minutes of filling, which would have been really good. Anyway, let's take a look at the top 10 from Q3 and how the grid will line up right at the front. It's Jarno Opmeer on pole position, and it is a Mercedes 1-2. They have got everything in their hands to make a great result later on. 43 points definitely on the cards, and +1 if you get fastest lap as well. Freddie Rasmussen, P3, Barry Burriman, P4 in that McLaren Shadow team. He'll be very happy with that. Alvaro Carraton in the mix for later on. Lucas Blakely not completely out of contention down in P6. Simon Weigang, who was Tom Deacon's I guess prediction for pole, or at least hope for pole.
Yeah,
down
yours
in P7.
Is just below. Sorry, your driver.
That's fine. I didn't know you were going to talk then. Marcel Key for P8, which was my prediction. And then Davidson at P9 and Daniele Haddad in the final position for Q3. Then, as you can see, Nicholas Longay, a difficult qualifying session down in 11th. Yoni Tormala, Brendan Lee, Daniel Beresnay, Patrick Sipos. And then the Q1 exitees, Van Erven, Tomei, Job, De Capua, and Presneda. There's going to be some of those drivers down towards the back of the field, the Hasses, the De Capuas of this world, that are going to want to just send it, aren't they? You know, there's not a huge amount to lose if you're in the sort of lower half of the grid. We saw that with Jarno's gamble yesterday. Are we going to see the same from some of those guys that have shown they've got pace, just haven't performed in quali?
I hope so. I mean, who knows? The weather has been very unpredictable. We might end up with a wet race. Maybe I've just jinxed it. I'm not going to talk about that. But yeah, it would be great to see unpredictable strategies and unpredictable and just sending it. I think that would be great. I mean, like you said, they've got nothing to lose. You know, lots of rookies coming in. They want to prove what they're actually able to do, and it would be great to see them do that.
Absolutely. Now, you're probably wondering why you're holding this card and why I gave it to you when the cameras weren't looking at us. We basically go through underperformers, overperformers, and then in the middle, as expected. So who do you want to start? Should we start with underperform or overperform? Who wants to go first? Overperform. I've just been told there's no decision. Who's got overperform?
I have
there
overperform, and we have Danny Moreno
as
the overperformer, which I can understand. I mean, I wasn't expecting a Mercedes 1-2 at all, and I think especially in comparison to his champion teammate, Jarno Opmeer, I think Danny Moreno matched him quite well and has done a great job. So it'd be great to see what both of the Mercedes will be able to do in the race from the front row.
Absolutely. Love that little roundup. And that links us beautifully into As Expected, which is the card I have. And it's Jarno Opmeer, of course, the champ from last year. He was incredibly impressive yesterday, and he has continued that run of form today. Changeable conditions, really difficult to adjust, adapt to the different track grip levels. But he came through with an incredibly solid lap time, and there he is, very happy indeed. Fist bumps to his team, and he has put himself in a great position to get out in front in this championship. And you're making some ferocious notes, Tom. Can I ask what they are?
Do you want me to talk now?
Yeah, if you want.
You mentioned earlier that I wasn't allowed to...
Yeah. Well,
I tell you what, like Moneyball, the film, just point at me when you want me to talk. Well, I have... Did you? Yeah.
I'm pointing you.
OK. I have underperformed, and it's blank. So everyone... I've just put a smiley face. Everyone has performed above expectations.
I think it was Kapua.
Yeah, of course
Did
it
they
is.
actually give you a blank card?
Yeah, they gave me a blank
That's
card.
Incredible.
Well, I was on the edge of my seat. I didn't know what was going to happen. Underperformed, however, I'm not going to be too harsh. Love the Williams team. I love the people behind the scenes, like Javier Herrera. Alessio had an opportunity, but you know what? He's not down and out. The race is actually going to happen, and we saw yesterday with Jarno Opmeer, anything can happen, so I will be rooting for Alessio. Underperformed, I think that's a bit unfair.
I think it's harsh.
Yeah.
You know, we've mentioned the characteristics.
I would have said Brendan Lee, personally. I would have thrown it out there.
OK.
How about those apples?
Yeah.
Producing
Yeah,
team.
exactly.
That's at you, not at anybody watching. Yeah, give me a blank card, make me deal with that.
But you put a smiley face, which was what the ferocious notes were. I really enjoy that. So you thought Brendan Lee as an underperformer?
A little bit. I feel like with the whole, in Q2, the experience there just didn't help them, actually, oddly enough. I think Brendan Lee, for whatever reason, it's not clicking yet. It will do, because we know when you doubt Brendan Lee, he will deliver. So that's what I'm trying to do.
So you're doubting him, and then he's going to perform.
Reverse psychology.
Thank you, Steph.
Well, speaking of tonight, let's take a look at exactly what you have in store. So it is 7:30 p.m. BST for the final race of Event 1 around Austria. It should be a very exciting race. Are we hoping for dry? Are we hoping for wet?
I'm hoping for Nick
changing?
Hamilton to be back, actually. That's something I'm looking
Hey,
forward
you
to.
enjoyed the show,
That's lovely.
No, I
he's
missed him.
He's had enough of me already.
That's incredible.
Whoa, I didn't say you,
That
Steph.
is
I just said...
savage.
What? No, I've missed him. I've missed, you know...
Who are you trying to replace here? That's the question.
I'm not trying to replace anybody.
Yourself.
Yes, basically, I've sat down for too long. In this quali show, Matt, you always kick me out very early doors. I've sat for this long. I need to have a stretch now because I'm just getting too relaxed, too comfortable. So I prefer it when Nick sits here. But Steph's been brilliant to have as part of the quali show, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So, yeah. That's all I need to say on it.
I'm enjoying your digging, really enjoying it. If this has whetted your appetite to have a go for 2022, take a look at this qualification and to see how you can get involved. Right, there you go. So, Steph, have you ever tried your hand at that sort of stuff? You fancy a bit of that, or no?
Do you know what? I don't think I'd be very good at it, but I'm willing to give it a go. Like I said, I am very competitive, so...
OK, well, everybody, please do sign up. Thank you so much for watching this qualification show. It's been a pleasure to bring it back to you. Remember, later this evening, we will be bringing you the race around Austria, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.